Okay, I want to welcome everyone who has joined so far. We are going to get started in probably 2 more minutes. Just want to give other people a chance to join, and then we will get started. But welcome, everybody. Okay, let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Evo Automation webinar about simplifying Oracle testing with no-code automation. I'm Annalisa Camarillo, Chief Marketing Officer for Evo, and your esteemed host for today. Let me take you through the agenda so that we can get started. I will give you a short but sweet introduction of who is Evo. And then we have our partner, Vivek Gupta, Country Head of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, that will share the latest and greatest on Oracle Cloud Infra and the importance of our partnership. And then my colleague, Chris Horn, Head of Customer Success and Product Marketing, will tell you how our customers are benefiting from test automation, in particular, Oracle Cloud environment. Without further delay, let's jump in. So to set the context, I want to share what enterprise IT leaders say about the state of software delivery. In many recent surveys, researchers have found that software quality is at an all-time low. Business and IT leaders depend on quality assurance and agility to deliver a frictionless customer experience. And that really is the key phrase there, is companies want to deliver a frictionless customer experience. And as all of us know, we're living in an application-driven world. So applications have become even more critical to be able to enable a smooth customer experience. But as you can see here, accelerated software delivery is an impediment to agile adoption. And agile development as a building block or a foundation to the software development lifecycle is really important to the entire process of delivering quality software much faster. In addition to that, a very important point is that testing is the biggest bottleneck to both agility, quality, and then speed. So how do we address this? Customers consistently tell us they need to be able to develop and deliver applications faster. That's really going to be a consistent theme, quality and speed, throughout our entire presentation here today. And from a software quality assurance perspective, this means a few things. First, to deliver faster applications, customers need to make a seamless transition to automated testing. And this includes key functions like parallel testing, enabling continuous integration, and continuous development. From a management standpoint, they want it to be much simpler, to be able to test applications in a much simpler fashion. And that includes quick debugging, reusable test elements, and having the support and training from the vendors that they're working with, from the partners that they're working with. All of this to say that they want to achieve quality at speed. And for that, they need reliable testing tools, more test coverage, and many other things to reduce the errors, the bugs, and the rollbacks. All of those kind of pesky things that keep the quality assurance team working much longer than they should and spending less time working together with the development team to truly improve the quality of software to deliver that frictionless customer experience. So how do we address this? We deliver 3 really important things, benefits, if you will, of our test automation platform. Number 1 is speed, through reliable synthetic data creation, through continuous testing, all of that is enabled in the fact that we've designed a test automation platform that works, that just works to deliver testing in a much better, much simpler way. We are also the lowest TCO in the industry today. Our customers can attest to the fact that we deliver the lowest TCO in the industry, and that is because we're code-free, we offer reusable and repairable tests, and a number of other important points. But quality is really king in the way that we've designed test automation. And we do that in a couple of ways. We offer complete test coverage. And I believe in our demonstration, we're going to talk a little bit about how our customer was able to achieve upwards of 85% of test coverage. And we've got customers that are pushing those boundaries further and further. And then we're end to end. So depending on where that application, all the different touch points of that application, we offer test automation that is end to end. And how do we do this? We've got a couple of core capabilities. Test automation, as we're going to talk about today, process discovery, that enables teams to document and prioritize end-to-end business processes with just a couple of clicks. But then most recently, we've released a new solution called test data management, where teams can leverage production-like data to streamline and expedite testing. And then another core capability, which is called service virtualization, which allows teams to emulate the behavior of specific components in a heterogeneous environment. And we'll show you these, which is most important. This is to be able to demonstrate test automation, and you'll see it in the context of a customer. Our customers trust us because of how we've been rated by multiple reviews that we do deliver on our promises. We're faster, we deliver quality, and we've got the lowest TCO. Those are kind of the critical things that I want all of you to remember. Their reviews have earned us a top spot in the leader quadrant for enterprise test automation. And we're in the 4th place among hundreds of other automation vendors in the G2 ranking. We also have accolades from Gartner. Gartner has listed Evo as a representative vendor in AI-driven test automation, and many other reports that we have been sharing with our customer base this year. And our customers can vouch for the fact that we consistently deliver that lowest TCO in the marketplace. So now let's learn what you think about software testing. I'd like to start with our polling question. A polling question will appear for you, and I'd like you just to answer, what are your primary challenges in testing Oracle applications? We'll give you about 1 minute and 15 seconds. Select all that apply, and then we'll look at the results next. Okay, 15 more seconds. All right, let's look at the answers. And it looks like minimal time window to complete testing is rated 24%, but the top one is our attendees feel that all of the challenges that we've listed there apply. So minimal time window to complete testing, updating and maintaining tests as the Oracle application changes is hard to do, is problematic, and they don't have enough resources to carry out testing, which is all very interesting. And we'd love the opportunity to be able to delve into all of those challenges deeper with you. And I think we'll get an opportunity to do that. All right. So next, what I'd like to do is bring in our partner, Vivek Gupta. joins us from Oracle. And he's going to give us an overview of the benefits of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and the importance of our partnership. Vivek, over to you. Wonderful.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, what I was saying is that first of all, I would like to thank the Evo team for inviting us for this webinar. Our partnership is absolutely important to us. So during over next 10 minutes, I'm going to quickly talk about Oracle Cloud in general, and also end my presentation with what value Evo and Oracle Cloud can bring to our customers who are going through the cloud native journey, right? To start with, if you look at this slide, this really talks about our integrated approach to the overall cloud transformation journey of our customers. We are a very unique company, which is not only just offering cloud infrastructure, but we are also offering a lot of cloud applications, SaaS applications for our customers for their cloud transformation journey. Obviously, our customers are adopting the overall the integrated stack because of the richness, the security, the resiliency that we offer, and that has obviously led us to hundreds and thousands of customers that you see here. Right, we have over 400,000 customers. And we have been dealing with very large corporates over many years. 98 of top 100 companies in the world use Oracle, and we are also have a very strong ecosystem of partners, which is extremely critical for our success. A lot of capabilities around partners that we have developed to make sure that the projects are delivered in a successful way. Right. Next slide, please. Okay. Now let me talk about why the customers are choosing to adopt Oracle Cloud, right? And let me talk to you about the top 4 reasons why we are seeing this transition happening, wherein customers have started to choose Oracle Cloud. And here I'm specifically talking about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is our cloud infrastructure business. The top reason out there is security, right? It is the way we deliver security is slightly different. We embed a lot of components, which allows us to deliver a more secure environment for your consumption. Performance is another interesting thing that our customers are choosing us for. Like, just to give you a very simple example, the way we have gone about designing network is very different to the other cloud providers. Ours is a non-hopping network, which allows you to deliver a much better performance for the application that you're running on Oracle Cloud. Then comes the cloud economics, which is we are cheaper than the other cloud providers. While you are getting the latest and the best and the greatest technology out there, but it is also cheaper when it comes to so that definitely is helping us in a big way, and that is one of the top 4 reasons why customers are choosing us. And more importantly, this is the last metric is the most important metric, I think, especially in the cloud world, because cloud has democratized the way IT is consumed, the services are consumed, and that is where the last metric talks about that customers who are choosing to use Oracle Cloud are happier because of the overall performance and price and whole lot of benefits that we offer. Yeah. Next slide, please. This slide talks about the overall presence, global presence that we have. Now, this is extremely critical, and we continue to expand. As of now, we have 37 regions, over 20 countries. There are 7 more which are planned by end of 2022. We have publicly announced it. You can see the list there. We are expanding to Mexico, Colombia, Chile, Israel, Saudi Arabia, we are adding another one, Paris and Madrid. These are the 7 which are planned by December of 2022 or earlier. What is also interesting is that even if you are on other cloud, like we have, especially with Azure, we have 11 interconnect region, and especially today only we actually announced 2 more, one out of Seoul and one out of Singapore. That allows you to also use best of the breed technology if you're using Azure, or if you're for some applications you are using OCI. You can still deliver a very a great experience to your end customers or who is consuming those applications on top of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. This is extremely critical. And the other thing is that this allows you to deliver application where your customers are, rather than delivering everything from a central location, which may lead into performance or latency issues, etc., etc. The next slide, please. Now, this talks about the completeness of the platform that I started the presentation with, right? On the top, if you see, we are talking about the applications that we have, wherein we are talking about ERP, EPM, SCM, or the CX or HCM suite of applications, right, which is offered to you as a SaaS. The down below that you see advanced technologies and the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, that is the core offering around the OCI. And then because I spoke to you about the uniqueness of our offering, we also have lots of industry-specific applications. And you can see some of the industries which are listed there, right from communication to utilities. There are a lot of industry-specific applications that we are also offering, and everything is running on top of our cloud platform. On the right-hand side, this is where our partners such as Evo comes into picture. While there is a greater story with Evo, which I'll talk about in the next slide, but if you look at these are the partners who complete our offer, and these are the partners who are choosing to run their applications on top of OCI, which is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So ISV ecosystem is a very, very critical part of our strategy, and that is where Evo Automation plays a very, very important role, wherein they are delivering their test platform on top of OCI from an offering standpoint. Next slide. Now, this is the new paradigm, right? A lot of transformations which and customers are looking to customers such as yourself are looking to move the cloud native way. Obviously, we offer an end-to-end platform which you can leverage, right from our serverless to DevOps tools to containers that we offer for the complete CI/CD and for complete development. You can leverage the services that we offer, along with the tool ecosystem that we work with, right? Like on the right hand side, you see Terraform and GitHub and other tools that we offer on our marketplace, or you can buy directly from them to go through the entire cloud native journey as you're trying to transform your applications into the next generation platform, or you're trying to develop absolutely new applications. And there is a lot of great things that we can talk about in terms of the way you can deliver a cloud native platform leveraging Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Next slide. Now, this is where the entire story comes together with Evo, and that is why I'm personally very, very excited to be partnering with Evo. If you look at the for your entire DevOps or cloud native journey, the services that we offer is especially around your continuous integration with OCI and open source components that you can choose to develop on, and from a deployment standpoint. But testing becomes an extremely critical part of the entire journey, and this is where Evo Automation is bridging that particular gap, right? Before you roll out your applications, and when your code is ready, it is fully tested before it is deployed. So that is where we are very, very excited to be partnering with Evo in terms of the completeness of the cycle that Evo brings in, and we are very, very excited to be partnering with Evo. I think that was my last slide. And Lisa, with that, I will probably hand it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you.
And I think you made a couple of really important points. One of the first ones is in order to enable continuous integration, continuous development, automation is critical because of the fact that you can, keep a full, smooth, a seamless loop that enables both the development team and the quality assurance team to work together, work much faster, and achieve quality. And we are just as excited, Vivek, to be partnering with Oracle, and we look forward to working together to help many, many clients in the future. So thank you. All right, so now we're going to get into the meat of the discussion today. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. And so I'm inviting Chris Horn to join us now and talk through a Fortune 500 company that was able to increase test productivity in an exponential way. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Lisa. Let me go ahead and bring up my screen here. Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Hello. Good morning. Good evening. And Vivek, thank you for that wonderful setup. But not only that, but the description of Oracle OCI, the platform itself, which is quite extensive, and really also mentioning how, with the many applications that are out there, and I'll make this point that there's been a transition underway from that's on premise to cloud, but what's not talked about is, or maybe glossed over, is the fact that there are in-house built applications, right? And there are DevOps with that, but there's still a need for DevOps or DevOps activities with SaaS related or based applications. Metadata changes, they're pre-prod and prod environments to test out. So things shift and change within DevOps, but the importance of establishing quality or having assurance around a quality that you're producing and releasing to, it could be your clients, if it's client facing, or even internally, is still equally important. So I'll touch on that as we go through. I do have a case study that I'm going to provide an overview of, and then a demo that highlights the successes that they've had. But first, before I jump into this, I want to give an overview of the case study and the client that we have, and actually the client that Oracle also has in common here. So this is a Fortune 500 customer. We're not at the point where we can provide their name. We're working down that referenceability path. We'll be there very, very soon. But this is a Fortune 500 company that produces and offers both products and engineering services for both industrial, commercial, and consumer markets. So it's important to keep that in mind. So very broad in terms of that offering base and also the segments within which there are different needs, as I mentioned before, in terms of the level of quality and assurance that one would need to provide or ensure that you're provisioning to those various segments. And the automated solutions are both for residential as well as commercial, right? So there's different UIs, right, where UI is involved, obviously APIs that are occurring behind, and you need to or should test, again, to make sure that the assurance of the quality at time of release or when determining that you're release ready is not only available, but you're very comfortable and confident that you can take that next step and provide that to, could be your business partners that maybe are white labeling your application or provisioning it directly to clients and customers alike. For focal purposes here, make no mistake about it that this manufacturer has many different system types of different UI-based and non-UI-based technologies that are in play. So when we talk about end-to-end, there are this spans various realms, right? So there's end-to-end within an ecosystem like the Oracle platform, right? And the many different applications they provide, but they also have mobile applications on the front end of that ecosystem or those ecosystems. So end-to-end takes on a different view within various development teams, again, within their DevOps processes. We do provide that and have provided that and provided that coverage. And so that's built into what you're going to see here coming up shortly. But what I'm going to focus on or in particular with our partner here, Oracle today, is really the Oracle side. And in this case, ERP, order to cash, is an area that's very important. I'm going to actually focus my demo on this, as is the service model, SCM, as well. I won't be providing a demo on that, but those are the areas that are of emphasis that are being used by this manufacturer, again, using Oracle OCI and that very powerful platform. So let's touch on a few of the challenges and pain points that this Fortune 500 manufacturer was having, and that they engaged Evo Automation on to greatly assist. Okay, so they had, and we still find this today. I realize that may surprise many of you. It might, looking at the polling questions. There is or are still many tests that are either outside of what would be preferable coverage zones or needs, and either those are manual or even those where there is staffing resources, and we saw that in the polling question as an issue. Those, even though they're being addressed from we have a test for that, they're still either entirely or predominantly manual. So the need to really apply test automation is still a significant work in progress for many clients and customers and prospects at this point that we speak to. So the need to automate tests, and by the way, automating is not just being able to automate the design of a test, but the execution of a test, and then the reoccurrence, the continual testing based on, and when we think about DevOps, we have regression, and we also have new feature functionality adds, right? So we want to make sure we're not breaking anything, but at the same time, we want to make sure that for this upcoming release, however it's cycling, however many sprints, we're incrementally building tests quickly with agility to meet the dev team's needs, the engineering team's needs, so that we can provide information back to that team as quickly as possible, success or not so much success, right? Some failure. Okay, so the ability to quickly generate tests is absolutely critical here. Not only, often people think of automation as the execution side. That's where you want to get to in a continual sense. But if it takes you weeks to get there, it's challenging to get there. And how do you ever cover quickly that coverage gap that exists? And so this Fortune 500 manufacturer was literally in that state or situation. They had about 15% of the tests that they would classify as automated, but a large number were not. The time to build those tests was lengthy. They too had resource issues or constraints that, when you think about the other aspects here, pain point wise, that were at issue were pressure points or represented challenges. They were not happy with the quality. It's sort of the end result of this. When you think about the equation of what I was mentioning and what's now on the equal side, what do you get as a result? You want to have good, great, or best quality, right? You want to see quality improvements over time. They weren't seeing that. And you can tie that back, obviously, to the fact that manual tests are time consuming to run. That means that it takes much longer to run them. And unfortunately, when delivery dates are in place, you can move them, but there's an extra pressure on the QA team to get this done and finalize this and certify this release. So things slip, right? That's human nature. And so this was also tying into the poor quality aspects. You let defects get into the product, that affects your customer satisfaction, that erodes confidence. And now you're in a cycle of having to quickly get back and spin another sprint within your overall dev process to do bug fixing. And that delays new feature improvements, enhancements to existing features, but also is costly overall. It's opportunity cost as well as customer sat cost, as I mentioned. Okay, so whoops, a little too quick. So how did Evo Assure benefit this Fortune 500, and give you a little bit of this Fortune 500 manufacturer, and give you a little bit of a breakdown, and again, in simple terms. So there was a coverage issue of about 20% that they had. We now, through our automation capabilities, both on the design and execution side, have got that now to a point where it's greater than 90%. We're around about 92%, to be more precise. So we've got more work to do when working with them. They do as well. Again, it's more of, at some point you still hit that resource burden, but they're quite pleased with that significant jump that they've achieved. The rate of delivery is greatly increased as well. This is rate of delivery into the market on time, on schedule. Some say under budget. Budget in this case would be the time allocated along with the resources. The regression effort, they were not doing regression testing before. You know, that's a bit of a challenge. Defects do occur on the regression side, and you need to make sure that you're covering that. They're now covering at least 30% of their regression tests. And so I should say the savings there is about 30%. So they're providing full regression testing and seeing some savings as well. Their overall cost savings has greatly improved. It was insignificant, not viable in terms of managing before, or painful to manage. And now they're up around 45% of cost savings. And this really, that cost savings comes from the fact that with the staffing, with the resources they have, and they have a combination of resources, I want to point out. They have in-house resources, and they also bring forth outsourcing efforts throughout the world. They're bringing in resources that some are in Germany, some are in India, some are located in Singapore. So very diverse, as they are a very large company, a large conglomerate. But this also speaks to the power of course, the cloud as we well know it, the ability to have and provision easy access and to literally team in ways from a business ops standpoint, QA, test execution, no different. And we're providing that. And that's another aspect of our platform that's very powerful, is that it is very much cloud ready. You can run it through the cloud, and the accessibility is just the same, which of course is naturally why we make for a good fit for Oracle in this regard as well. From a defect injection rate, I don't want to overlook this as well. It was high for them. Now it's much, much lower. So they're catching defects sooner, quicker, and able to address those before a release is certified, or they happen to sneak out and end up in a released product. Okay, so let me go ahead and take us down into the path now of what will be the video demo I'm going to show you here. And I just want to give you an overview of the flow, right, that we're going to go through. Again, this is greatly condensed for time purposes here. If you'd like a more extensive demo, please contact us, and we're happy to set this up and show you the broader picture of what we, or better yet, this Fortune 500 customer was able to do, and them and their team were able to do. And we have a strong purview into that, and we'd be happy to show this to you. But for today and demonstration purposes, I'm going to step you through an order around the Oracle order management module, and specifically around create order. I'm doing this because I really want to show, two, perhaps three things. And I'm going to do this out of order of what would be a normal, really QA design to, test, debug, and execution for orchestration of tests. I'm going to take that out of order because I really want to jump in to show the ease at which, and of course, this is the great benefit that this Fortune 500 manufacturer gained and saw value in, and was able to attend in terms of providing those results. The ability to easily identify UI objects, right? bring that into their test design, they could easily debug and then start to execute tests within, frankly, a couple hours as opposed to days, which is more like the manual test case creation. Okay. And then at the end, I'm going to show you really the design flow, right? The bigger picture of what you could create, which is typically what would happen first. You're really doing your planning, your design flow planning, and then jumping in specifically into a screen and a test case. But that's a bit more lengthy, and I really want to get us into the meat of the ease and the intelligence to which our system brings into play to make the lives of QA testers much easier, so you get rapid QA test development, and or in some development teams, even enabling developers, engineers to step in. So there's a democratization here that's in play, allowing others that don't necessarily need to have that degree in QA testing. They can step in and assist as well around the periphery or at the core. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into the demonstration. I'm going to switch us over to my my other screen here. Okay, so before I kick this off, just so you know, I'm in Evo Assure right now, and I'm about ready. I'm in essentially a project. It's our Oracle project, and I'm about ready to go into the Oracle screen, the order management and the create order that I mentioned before. And I want to show you here how simple it is to essentially identify objects and begin that process of designing your test case and any iterative scenarios within. Okay, so you'll notice over here on the right, excuse me, over on the left, I guess the other right that I have, we have a number of different capabilities and different types of browser support that enable you as a test designer to utilize. Now, there's a number of reasons for this. Some organizations have a specific browser that their IT teams have said, this is what we're going to use. It's their standard. But this is also necessary, excuse me, it's also necessary that if it's a client-facing application, you're not sure what browser they might use. So you need to test across all of these. Now, one of the great powers of Evo Assure and the underlying engine technology and capability that we have is it's the same experience for you as a QA designer, test designer, from one browser to the next. You merely select the browser that you need or would like to use, and then go in and start identifying your objects. You can design entirely with one and debug with another. So we are not doing anything when capturing or storing in the repository, our object repository, that is dedicated or specifically tied to a browser type, right, or a vendor's browser, right? So we're very flexible there. You can start with one and work with others. Okay, it's a very powerful capability because it gives you the flexibility as well as the confidence to do what you need to do, and again, work efficiently and with great agility. All right, so I'm going to choose Chrome to get us going. Okay, one of the more standard browsers, not the others aren't, but Chrome's often used. Right, what you see here is we have a dialog that pops up that allows you to start and stop the mode of identifying objects on the screen. So you essentially would start intelligent object recognition, and then you merely click the objects that you would like Evo Assure to capture that you plan to include in your test case. And then you again navigate, right? So you are going to follow the UI flow, the business flow that your users flow or would flow through. And as you're clicking on these objects, we're identifying those objects, storing those objects, and then when we get into the design phase, you will see how these objects are used without the need to write any code. We have something we call keywords, which are pre-built functions, and you infuse the two together when creating a test case as you move on. Okay, so let's jump on over now. Now you can see these are the many objects that were created. I'm showing you a list that's part of a more extensive list. You can also, at any point in time here, you'll see, as I'm doing right now, you can pop up. Obviously, if you get a very long list, it can be blurry, right? Where is this object located on what screen? So you need to have cross-referencing and the visualization for that. So you can merely come over and click on the eye here to see not only the screen, but where that object is on the screen as we captured it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let that run. And you see over here as I'm selecting them, the objects are the fields for those objects, or the navigation objects are being displayed. They're highlighted. Okay. So now let's go ahead and jump over to what would be our design mode here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead, and we have a test case pre-created primarily because I will show you I won't walk you through an actual execution. That's a little too time consuming given the extent of the test at large, but I will show you a report. This is a pre-built test case that we have, and you can see it can be quite extensive. We allow all different types of, extensivity, conditionals. You can insert delays if you need to do that, and so on and so forth. You can also have prompts to the screen to show values, computed values, if that's necessary as part of the test case. So very, very powerful here. This is all no code based, as I noted before. So what you're doing here is you're selecting your object or specifying another more generic object that we have in the system. Okay, so you'll see customer text box, for instance, which was one we captured, right? And then you're pairing it with a specific function, a keyword, all right? And then you can choose the input and even the output. An output would be a message box that you wish to show on screen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run this so you can see literally how this works. Okay, so you're selecting your object of choice. Right now, I'm really showing the many different types of objects. The ones with @ symbols are pre-built, okay, object types. But you can see these are all the ones that are captured or were captured on the screen that, at least in part, that we walked through before. Okay, number of different keywords. Again, I talked about inputs and outputs, right? You can also provide comments or remarks along the way. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take us over to what would be an execution scenario. But I want to take this opportunity to touch on the fluidity to which our environment works. So we have the ability, obviously we have the ability to do this test planning that I talked about, which I'm going to show you at the end again. Typically you'd start with that in the beginning. As a QA manager, right, or somebody in a lead role, you might very well have others that you want to assign parts or pieces of the design activity, right, effort within a project, as well as separately for execution. Some teams, and this is the way this Fortune 500 manufacturer works, they have a QA design group, right, even within their application team, and then they have a separate execution group, okay? So that means that, and we have the notion of users. There are user accounts within Evo Assure. So we use that as a baseline for who is to do what. And you can make multiple assignments, right? So you have tasks. Okay, so you can have tasks that are both design and execution. Maybe you're just a design person on the QA side. Maybe all you're handling is execution. Okay, at any point in time, right, you can, as you just saw, we have a flyout, which is tasks over here, and you can select, or you'll have access to, and then can select what's been assigned to you. Very powerful feature, right? So it keeps that individual, that resource, very focused. And if you think about the democratizing this on a global scale, you really need to provide that set of tasks to that user so they can perform the work that's necessary. And we control that within Evo Assure per the assignments that I mentioned. And what I'm going to do now is I'm showing you this where I'm popping out the tasks list, and I'm now going to select execute. You won't see the execution, as I mentioned, but we're going to then jump into showing you the report. Okay, so let's go ahead and fire this up. Again, click on this. Essentially, that the execution would would run. But before we go there, let me show you that we give you tremendous power over how or what you deem or would like to execute. Okay. So as you're seeing here, right, you're seeing the full list of all of the modules that are available that make up our scenarios, our test scenarios. So you can see we have many, there was a long list of objects. All those objects are part of the many screens that make up this business flow end to end, right? I'm showing you, again, my apologies for time purposes, I'm showing just a small little excerpt of that, right? Which really spans or covers login. And then again, our focus here is the order creation, the sales order creation. And we're only selecting this to have this run so that the report shows that. But this is where you, within QA, given your responsibility, or the team's ability to participate. And as a manager, you can manage this either with finite control or broader end-to-end control and manage that accordingly. And at the end here, I'm going to show you our dashboard, which really brings all that together. But this is where modules can be selected to be run in unison or just individually. Okay, so let's go ahead and have this continue to run here. We're going to click execute here shortly, right? You can choose what browser you want this to run on. As I mentioned before, we can design with one and choose to execute with the other. So before the screen vanishes, we're selecting Chrome again. I could select multiple. So if I want to run these two modularized tests, these two tests, well, this entire test suite, but these two modules across just one browser or selectively all these browsers, right? I can do that. And then recursively, we'll run against Chrome, we'll run on Firefox or whatever the other selections are, and so on and so forth. So again, very flexible, very powerful, very easy to use. As mentioned before, by Lisa, I believe, one of the other great powerful capabilities we have is we can run locally. Yes, so we can run on a given user's machine if that's what's needed. That often works well when you're designing a test. Obviously, debugging happens locally. But what we have found, no surprise, is there's a tremendous need, especially those that are already working in the cloud, right? So we know with this Fortune 500 manufacturer that they are already in the cloud using the powerful ecosystem that Oracle provides with the many different ERP and service order applications. But they're also using the cloud to virtualize as well as scale up, scale out their computing resource needs. With that, and we have several other customers that are doing this as well, we allow you to run locally, but you can also set up pools, Evo Assure pools that are running in VMs, what have you. You can have an automation farm up in the cloud. And this is where you would say or schedule and essentially say to Evo Assure, this is how I want this test or these tests to be run. Put it up in this virtualized environment and you decide smartly how best to execute this test based on the computing resources that are available. Now, again, it's pretty straightforward, the power that gives you. This also allows for broader, greater parallel test execution. More computing resources are out there, so that enables that capability far greater than you would have through locality, right? So it's scalable, scale up, certainly in that sense. Why do we do this? Not just because it's cool to run in the cloud, because at the end of the day, I want to run more tests in a shorter time window. If development teams are running on a 12-hour cycle or 14-hour cycle, right, or maybe even shorter, when one team might check out for the day, right, clock out, when they come back, they want the build to be done, they want it to be executed, and they want to know what are the results, right? What do I need to fix from yesterday's build so I'm enabled now to move on to today's activities, right? Tasks and activities. very important. Time windows and execution windows are very important. And this is another aspect that's really driving software test automation into the cloud. That's where the computing resources are. It's very difficult for an IT shop or team of any kind to keep up with the data center needs and resource consumption in that sense. So let's get our demo going here just as well. I'm going to select something that's local in this case as you're seeing it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and execute the test here. The test is executed, so now I'm going to show you the reporting capability you can see very, very quickly and easily that you can see not only what tests were executed, date and time, right? By the way, this is, of course, all being logged in our database as accessible through an API that we have as well. So if you have other reporting products or vendors that you'd like to move this data, this information into, it can certainly be done as well for larger enterprise reporting purposes. But you can quite easily get your report either through, could be HTML, could be a JSON file if you want. You can create a PDF just the same. So let's take a look at how this looks. So we'll bring up the HTML version here, okay? Very detailed reporting from a step-by-step standpoint, okay? It tells you very quickly and easily not only the time it took to run the test, but whether it passed or failed. Obviously, the period of time, begin, end, all right? You can also connect into Jira, right? So if you're doing defect tracking, which most are, you can literally take your passes and fails and log them directly into Jira, right? Directly that way. So nice, tight integration, just the same. So with that, I want to take us into what would be ultimately the design flow aspect. And what you're seeing here, or saw very quickly, and now I've moved over, is you just got a graphical view of what literally our Oracle order management test that we've created in full looks like, right? Obviously, I've moved us over now. You can drag this very easily using the hand control to move this around. You can also expand or zoom in and zoom out just the same. But what I'm showing you here is the piece that ultimately we captured, or I showed on screen that was captured. But it can be far more extensive and is here, and typically is just the same. The objects, you can work with the objects as is, right-click to add new test cases. The interesting sort of recycling symbols here that you see is another powerful capability that we have. Often you have UIs and or objects within UIs that are common. They're the same fields, the same objects. You can repurpose those without having to go through the full effort of going through the design step and capturing or identifying, capturing that object and then working with it separately. You don't have to give it a new name. You can reuse those very objects that were already captured. That's number one. So now you're looking at the time, even with an intelligent capture and design capability combined with no code, that can be compressed effort-wise even further through reuse. The other thing this is powerful for is negative test creation. Often we get focused on positive tests, right? How it should work. But what about creating tests around negative tests or tests that we want to design that should fail, and we want to track that as well, right? There are a number of different examples here, many, but login, right? We want to actually test the characters that are being placed or typed in, right? Or are there various ways that that users could get in trouble? So it's just a deeper way and a very important way of creating tests, which typically are called negative tests. Most focus on positive. These are negative tests, but you're reusing the same objects. So you want to be able to quickly and easily take those same objects and tie them into your tests for a different type of test in this regard. Okay, let's go ahead and push on here as well. So you can see quite easily you can drag and drop to move this around. get another full picture of this is just the same. I'm pointing out again those reusable objects that are being reused or used within this design flow. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and jump over to the dashboard here. Okay, so as I mentioned before, certainly someone who's in management or leading a team, right? You need to have this overall view of how's my team doing? How are we doing relative to expectations? Typically, the release date or could be a sprint, whatever that represent or is represented, and you're going to have different cycles. Obviously, you're going to want to look at that on a project basis per release. So we give you all of these knobs and switches that you can dial in the testing that has occurred and get the dashboard results to not display you the way you want it displayed, but give you that specific information that's very much dialed in to your project, your cycle, your release. And that's what you're seeing here on screen right now is when I recorded this, what I was doing here. Just showing these, and obviously we have many different types of projects that are out there that can be selected, and obviously that data brought to the forefront. Okay, and as this is selected, that data is pulled in, and the widgets are updated. I'm going to pause just for a second here. You see these three dots for each widget. First of all, the widgets can be moved around to your liking. You can remove widgets, you can add new widgets. So it's very customizable. It doesn't have to be as complex as this might look. If you want greater simplicity, you can actually, increase or add more widgets if that's what your needs require. But you can also bring in other data sources too. So Jira, for instance, as I'd mentioned, if you wish to show defects, Jira defects, into our dashboard, you can do that as well. You can look at how your users are performing, right? The executions that are happening per day, the rate at which user activities can, from a task level standpoint, occur. And then, of course, you can have summarization. What I'm showing or attempted to show here was just giving you this broad view of all the different types of data visualization insights that can be provided. There's no doubt you would dial this in to suit your needs, and we give you that tremendous flexibility to do so. Okay, so with that, I'm going to switch back to the presentation. Thank you for that. Okay, so let me summarize now, give you an overview of the platform, the Evo Assure platform. It's very broad as it is deep, right? So obviously, we focused on Oracle. We cover a number of other UI-based technologies and our ability to intelligently identify those UI objects within. Okay, I've already mentioned several times that we are a no-code based platform. Right? If you want to write code in our platform, you can't do that. We're very much focused on agility and the democratization of resources, so the enablement of QA teams, that's their focus today, as well as being able to broaden that. That's the democratization where other teams can participate, or resources within other teams can participate as need be to literally broadly improve performance, but be able to do it very easily as well as systematically. Okay. We have on-demand debug testing. I didn't have time to show that to you, but within each design of a test case, you might have seen it on the left. You can enable debug, and again, you can say, I did this on Chrome. How's this going to work, or does it work with Firefox? Right. So again, great flexibility around browser support. Obviously, if we're using a more native non-web, that changes. So we're very smart around changing the UI, the user interface, to make it easy on users based on the technology related to that part of the scenario, test case, and project. Okay. We do provide another powerful feature called accessibility testing for web. So we cover a number of different compliance standards worldwide. So for those of you, for instance, in the US, for about 3 decades now, we've had 508 compliance, which is a government and usually state, sometimes local government compliance for disabilities as part of the Disabilities Act. That's covered in there as well. There are a number of others worldwide that are very similar to that. We cover those. Literally, we can span numerous web pages and provide you the results as to how you really rate or exist relative to the compliance. So that gives you a quick, informed way of telling you what changes you need to consider to meet those various standards. I talked about Jira. We support a number of other, or have built-in integration support a number of other areas, both on the agile DevOps, CI/CD pipelining approach. You can see those listed here. We do support application lifecycle management platforms that are listed there. We're adding new ones every day, and we actually have an open API, which if something's not here that is what you need, the open API gets you started. And then what we do is we pull in, we understand your need, the criticality of it, and we pull that into our development cycle to look to provide a deeper, tighter integration. Of course, we do have version control. You can imagine the different versions. You saw cycles and releases. You think about that from a test module, test scenario, and test case creation. You want to be able to version those changes. We, through GitHub, allow you to do that. Okay. Just a bit of an overview of the overall benefits that we provide in correlation with what we did for this Fortune 500 manufacturer. Again, we were able to significantly increase their automation coverage, right? Literally from that manual to an automated, a largely automated test case environment. We increased their rate of delivery, so improved their ability to, with confidence and certification, the quality of their products, and enable them to meet their planned release dates. Their regression efforts, the savings were increased, okay, but the cost was reduced, all right, and the defect injection rate, right, was also reduced. So in other words, when we look at this from it was released with defects, that was greatly reduced, as you saw on the prior slide as well. Okay. So I have a special offer for all of you, right? And that is, if you are very interested, and we hope you are, there's good reason to be, in Evo Assure and trying out our platform, we'd like to extend a 14-day assisted trial for any test scenario, underlying test cases that you see fit and would like. So please engage us on that. We have a QR code here that would or should make it very easy for you to get to the URL that's listed. You can also reach out to us through other means, and there is also the ability to request a demo and a 14-day trial off our website as well. So with that, I'm going to pass this back over to our wonderful moderator, Lisa, and take it away. Let's jump into some fun Q&A.
Awesome. And so I'll just say to the attendees that we've got still hanging on, thank you for staying all the way through. We're going to continue into Q&A and welcome any questions. We've got one already, Chris, that came from Raj Kumar. And the question is, can we record video in Evo Automation when it's in headless mode?
We cannot currently do that. Well, we can, but it's by default turned off. And the reason why, there's a bit of a caveat here, right? So capturing video is possible, but it comes at a little bit of a cost, right? A performance cost, because you're also capturing that video of the test that's being executed. What we find is that's a nice feature when run locally, but when run in a headless, say, virtualized mode, there's extra cost performance-wise. So we're always working through managing that, reducing that. But that's why I give that with a bit of a caveat. So yes, we can. but we found that the performance aspects, typically that's not used in that type of environment. So,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Next question, and thank you for that, Raj, is Evo Assure truly 100% no code? Does it
Absolutely.
require,
Yep.
okay, any scripting?
No
Okay.
scripting whatsoever. 100%, as I mentioned before, if you are a code writer or insist on writing code, we're not a good choice for you. We're very focused on no code software test automation.
And last question that I see so far is talk about end-to-end test automation. So do we really achieve where we could test all of the major application touch points in a business process?
Yes, the simple answer is yes. And so if I can take hopefully everyone back visually here, we have projects that can be established for all the different application types, those technologies. If you think about the platform or portfolio platform slide that I displayed, you can create a project for each one of those. And then we have a mode. I did not show this, where for all the modules that are in the different projects, you can combine those to create an overall end-to-end test. So an example here would be Salesforce connected flow, business flow into Oracle order management, right? So you create a quote in Salesforce, and now you want to test that because there's an integration, let's say, between Salesforce and Oracle. You want to test that end-to-end flow, literally end-to-end from one ecosystem like product into another ecosystem product from a line of business perspective. So you certainly can do that. And this is where the power of our technology breadth, right? Different application types really comes together, and you can have your Salesforce QA team work on that. Obviously the Oracle team, I'm just simplifying it here, and then you can bring that together for execution purposes, right? So many different ways to do this, but the simple answer to summarize is absolutely yes.
Great. And we've got another question from Mandel. What happens when an object path is changed? So you're in the process of test capturing the objects. What happens if one of those object paths change? Do we go back and modify it? Does it automatically get adjusted? So on and so forth.
So that does happen sometimes. The degree of change varies. Okay, it depends on how significant that change is. We've certainly encountered this before. It's pretty common. We have the ability, we have a capability, again, within Evo Assure to allow you to identify what those mappings are, right? So this is really giving you a view into the repository as we've encoded within our repository a given object, and we allow you to choose a new path, right? Not that you have to type it in by hand, but you can select that object, and then we allow you to merge it together. So you don't have to go back and rework all of your tests. That's point number one. Number two, we recognize that these changes happen, so we have a very UI-based, streamlined way for a given tester to tie those objects that have changed back into an existing test simply with minimal effort on their part.
Awesome. Well, I hope that answered the question for Mandel and for Raj and for many of the other participants that asked a question. I think we're ready to close up here. If we go to our closing slide.
Got it.
Awesome. So I want to thank everybody for attending, and want to point out a couple of things. Please expect your Amazon gift card and email. All of you have earned it, and hopefully we can continue to stay in touch, help you with either by providing you a demo. But in addition to that, our friends at Oracle are offering a Oracle Cloud free tier where you could test, build, deploy applications in a cloud, in an Oracle Cloud infrastructure environment, and you just use that handy link there, and that will send you, that will direct you to Oracle. Sorry, this is okay. And then read our reviews on G2. It's as simple as just typing Evo Automation G2, and it will take you straight to our page. And please visit us at evoautomation.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a good rest
Thank
of
you,
your day.
Vivek.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.